There's been a big craving, a big hole in the industry for classic, realistic shooters, something that's actually grounded. Because back in the day, when you got first-person shooters, there was different styles, ones that were more ridiculous or more arcadey, or ones that were incredibly savage and brutal. And so there seems to be this big outcry from the gaming community because Call of Duty isn't cutting it. People don't want to just keep playing the same Warzone maps with Nicki Minaj skins and Beavis and Butthead and stuff. A lot of people kind of miss the old school Battlefield vibe. Well, I just finished playing about 35 hours of the Battlefield 6 beta, and this was an insane experience. This is fantastic. It is truly a callback to that old school style of carnage-filled mayhem. Hundreds of players clashing in massive maps, tanks just crushing buildings, and sniper glints off in the distance that you see for a millisecond before your brains get blasted out. Battlefield 6 is fantastic, but after having spent so much time playing this, I do have a couple complaints that I want to see sort of fixed, or I'm kind of curious to see how they play in the final version of the game. But let's break it down. Hi, I am DreamcastGuy, and if you could please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, first and foremost, I do want to make it clear that this was weekend 1 of the Battlefield beta. So they're doing multiple weeks of this, and each week they're adding in extra stuff, more maps and modes. Now, this week 1 version, there were 3 maps and 5 modes. I'm going to show you a big mix of all of it. So you're going to randomly see some matches of King of the Hill or Domination or Takedown, but just keep in mind the fact that I'm predominantly just talking about the gunplay, the time to kill, the upgrades, because that's the stuff you're going to have in every single match. But what really hit me first, as soon as I started playing it, is that Battlefield 6 is at times an incredibly unforgiving game. This has a ridiculously short time to kill. I mean, a lot of times in most fights, it's not just about who has the better aim. A lot of times it is who has the better reaction speed or who has the higher level gun. So when you're playing this, what makes this so incredibly fun is that you really get a chance to customize the heck out of all these different weapons. Now, personally, I became obsessed with the M4 and ended up max leveling it and getting hundreds of kills with it. But while I was experimenting with the different styles of gun, from the snipers to the shotguns and stuff, what really kind of struck me is that I feel like they have such a brilliant sense of balance. So during the course of this weekend of playing it nonstop, I was actually at Quakecon 2025 in Dallas, Texas. And I was here with a bunch of my friends that I've been playing shooter games with actually for like 25 years, literally. And it was interesting to be in a room where literally every screen, every bit of hype, everybody was only talking about Battlefield. And a sentiment that everybody kind of shared with me, all my friends in matches doing callouts, a lot of people basically said they liked the fact that it goes back to that vibe of being a single soldier in this infinite war, which has always been one of the best things about Battlefields. If you never played, especially Battlefield 3 and 4, these are games that have extremely sprawling maps. We're talking times where you die and it takes 3 minutes to run back to the front run. Now, this is definitely faster than that. The one major complaint I have heard from everybody about this beta, and I have to agree with it, is that Battlefield 6, from what we've seen so far, has much smaller maps. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it definitely feels nice that you can't immediately get back into the action, but because of the incredibly quick time to kill, it does make it where I've had multiple occasions, unfortunately, of respawning essentially in the reticule of the enemy army. Times where I literally revive and insta-die again, and vice versa. I've had a lot of times where I'm just standing there messing with my equipment or something like that, and somebody respawns right in front of me with my scope already pointed at their brains. It's a bit odd, but let me go back to the upgrades of it. So the way this works is sort of in the way that a lot of online shooters work, which is that whichever weapon you're using the most, it gives it extra upgrades. And there's this point system, so you can swap out the scope, the grip, the underbarrel, the butt of the gun, or even the ammunition. Now, this is the one thing that to me feels a bit like a detriment, at least to my tastes, which is the fact that as you level up these guns, they do feel significantly stronger because it's not just raw damage, it's the upgrades themselves. But in my experience thus far, especially with the M4, once I got that extra headshot bullets, there's like these bullets that do double headshot damage. It made it where if I even sprayed in the general direction of your upper torso, I was insta-killing people. I mean, I was killing people so fast in some matches. One of my buddies was watching over my shoulder and said, it seems like a bot match with how you're mowing people down. But to me, it almost makes me think that every gun needs to have some sort of significant upgrade unlockable early. Now, the reason I say that is because it does feel a bit frustrating. I watched a lot of new people playing it, and a lot of times people felt a bit daunted just figuring out how to play enough to upgrade the first gun and get that first big cool new toy to make your gun extra viable. But this is just personal preference. I'm just saying that I almost wish the upgrade trees were unlocked faster so that we could all get the crazy guns quicker. Now, let's talk again about the different styles of gun. I have to say that I played mostly the Assault. There are different classes that have slightly different abilities. There's the Medic, the Recon, the Engineer, and of course the guy I like, the Assault. Now, Assault, he carries just a ton of guns. He has a shotgun, a mini grenade launcher, and then whatever your main weapon of choice, along, of course, with also a pistol. But what's great is that each of the classes do have different tools. Like if you play as the Engineer, he's got a rocket launcher. He's good at repairing tanks or taking down enemy tanks. The Sniper is able to actually more easily, if you even scope aim at stuff as the Sniper class, it automatically marks it on the map for everybody. I like the fact that every class has such a different use case. In some matches which were purely sniper heavy, everybody's just in the hills all sniping each other all day long, it felt cool to constantly be picking out targets where even if I missed a shot, now they're just lit up like the 4th of July for everybody on my team to actually kill them. I do gotta say my favorite thing about this by far was just the tanks. Driving the tank was so incredibly fun. Like, holy heck, on every map, every mode, just rolling in with heavy armor and nuking people feels so incredibly good. Now, just real quick, I do want to say, if you've not played Battlefield, this doesn't play like Call of Duty with like kill streaks and stuff. So this isn't one of those games where someone's going to get 25 kills and instantly in the match and stuff like that. This is more grounded in realism. And it is cool that in a lot of these modes, slowly winning or slowly losing or being able to pull up an upset and get a late game victory because somebody's playing so well, I really like just in general how much everything really connects together, especially the destructibility. I cannot just really get across to you how crazy it feels to be in a building as it collapses. Or at times, there was this time where at one point, I'm not sure I have footage of this, but I'm going to show you some footage here of me blowing up buildings. But at one point, there was a bunch of dudes, like 10 dudes inside of this structure, and we could not get them out. We're throwing in grenades. We're saying, your mama sucks, everything to try and get these guys out. Could not get them out. So I spawned in a tank. I rolled up. I blew up the wall of this apartment building, and they flipped out. Literally, the whole side of it collapses down, and they start trying to scatter. They're like, oh my God. So we're just spraying in there. The whole team, the guy on my freaking Gatling gun turret, everybody's just spraying in there, and we wiped the entire team out. Now, there are revives in this. I do think that the hardest thing that the community seems to be trying to really sort of adapt to is the revive system, which is that when you're playing this, your team has a total amount of lives. It's a huge number. The more you accomplish objectives, more lives get added to this number. So it's not like, 20 lives total. But I did notice a lot of people trying to not revive people or instant releasing. What I mean by that is that you'll typically tell the more old school Battlefield players because they will wait for a revive or they'll call for a revive, because picking them up, one of the new things you can do is you can drag them out of harm's way. You can actually drag people like behind a rock and revive them. That means they come back with everything they had and you don't lose a life. And on a lot of those longer, more savage matches, the people that revive more actually end up winning. I mean, it's kind of interesting that really you can win a match by being so much more strategic and doing call-outs and informing people, hey, let's purposely stay here. Hey, I'm going to purposely revive as a medic to make sure we can minimize our losses. Every part of this game, from the heavy armor combat to the sniping to the chaotic, crazy pushes, I really, really like it. I do want to see more of the map. I like the destructibility. I like these 3 maps we have in Beta 1. I do like a lot of these modes, although I will admit that King of the Hill is by far the least fun of them. But I kind of want to see more of the campaign, more of the carnage, more of that big craziness. I'm the kind of person that bought Battlefield 2042 at launch. And that game at launch was terrible. And I pretty much put it down immediately. But over time, they fixed it. They revamped it. They upgraded it more and more and more and more. And they've basically said they're sort of doing those lessons learned. They're applying it to this. Battlefield 6 is going to have a lot of stuff that I think is going to make it an actual COD killer for the first time ever. Stuff like custom games, being able to make custom maps, classic game modes, a lot of the guns that you love in such a realistic, crazy setting. This is the first time where I truly think that a game is going to outsell Call of Duty, which I'll be honest, I'm not sure has ever happened before. Even the worst Call of Duty is usually the top selling game of the year. Will Battlefield 6 actually pass it? Well, from the concurrent player numbers on Steam, it definitely seems like this one is one to pay attention to. I don't know. These are some off-the-cuff rambly thoughts. I got to admit, I loved this beta. I will be in the next beta, so if you get randomly sniped by a person called DreamcastGuy on PC, that's definitely me. I'm definitely going to be playing this on PC. I mean, maybe I'll play it on PS5. Typically, I'm such a console gamer, but playing this with a mouse and keyboard, man, it felt so good. But tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.